Hey, 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 and welcome to a special edition recording episode of Just Start From Ideas to Action. You always hear me say that I am so incredibly excited, but for real, like I'm really, really excited. You are in the midst and actually at the very beginning of us kicking off 6 very unique video podcast episodes that we're going to introduce throughout 2024. And in the midst of course, us always being committed to helping you truly start the things that you want to do, we got some guests that are here. In just a second, I'm going to introduce our very first recorded guest for 2024. But before we get there, just a few really, really important things. First of all, we are thrilled that we are nearing 200 podcast episodes. Like, you guys have been on this journey with us for a long time. And so we're excited to provide to you lots of resources within these 200 episodes. Second, we're really excited that we have fantastic partners and sponsors along the way. This particular episode and all the episodes that are a part of this month's subject focused on technology, we have an exciting sponsor, which is the Mortgage Bankers Association. So thank you for your support of what we do. Thank you for believing in us. And thank you for supporting all of you across the world that continue to come here to get the tips, tools, resources, and storytelling to start the things that you truly want to do. And lastly, before we get into today's episode, I know that many of you come here to hear about our annual Just Start Summit. And we've decided for 2024 to put a pause on our annual Just Start Summit because we're meeting you where you're at. We're actually traveling across the country to record 6 of these episodes. And so, of course, we'll bring back the Just Start Summit in 2025. But for today, let's go ahead and give you some more of that storytelling, those tips, those tools, and those resources that you need to truly start the things that you want to do. So how about we get started with today's conversation? I get the opportunity to have a dynamic dialogue, and I know it's going to be dynamic because I've been looking forward to it for months. I get a chance to have a wonderful conversation with Natalie King. So Natalie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You're very, very welcome. Listen, Natalie serves as the founder and CEO of Dunamis Clean Energy Partners.
Yes.
Right? And we're going to get into all of that. But what you need to know is that I have been fangirling from afar for a long time, right? I see the places that you show up. I see the impact that you make. And when we think about technology here in the Metro Detroit area, which is where we're recording today's episode, I am always just rooting for you in what you're building from afar, right?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But let's get to it, right? Can we get to it? Mm-hmm. What's your secret sauce? And when I say what's your secret sauce, like, you're in a very unique space. And I really, I'm not a super fan of, of super highlighting like you're the only woman in this space and, all those things, which is true. Mm-hmm. However, what's the secret here? Like, what's your secret sauce in this space?
That's a very interesting question. Mm-hmm. Because there are all different types of sauces that I think that all of us bring to our own field. But I think for me, the secret has been walking in purpose and making sure that what I'm doing is fulfilling for me and that it is purposeful beyond myself. Mm. And I think that the vision of Dunamis, when it was created, was specific to empowering other people through clean energy technology, using power to empower others. And that's what drives me. That's what keeps me going. That's what, in the midst of adversity, when you need perseverance, when you need to be able to stay focused, because there are so many other things and factors and challenges that can pull you away from or discourage you from keeping going. That gives me the secret sauce. The knowing that what I'm doing is actually going to be positively impactful in other people's lives. That's the sauce. Yeah.
I appreciate you. Actually, before we even hit record or play to record actually today with Troy, most of you know that Troy Woods from Clark Bailey Media and Photography is normally the person who's behind the lens. And so Troy, shout out to you for always coming along the journey with all of our stuff. But before we hit record today, I asked Natalie, as I do with all the guests that I sit with and just people that are in my life, like, how you doing? Like, for real, how you doing? And of course, she transparently said, good. However, like, there are things, there are challenges, there are just factors that come along with building something, right? And that really makes me wonder about you taking us on a journey all the way back to when you gave yourself permission to get started in this space overall. And I set that context first because I don't expect that everything is going to be a rosy answer or an easy answer or easy path. And so tell us, like, what gave you permission, or what was it that really sparked you giving yourself permission to get started? And what do you remember in terms of some of the challenges in the very beginning?
I love that question as to my giving myself permission to do it, because when I first started Dunamis Clean Energy Partners, it was in 2012, and I have no technical background. I'm a lawyer by trade. I practiced law for many, many years, and never thought that I would be in a technical field. When I was in law school, I was certain I was going to become an environmental attorney, right? So I had a passion for environmental justice. I had studied it when I was in college. I was exposed to it when I was interning at the NAACP, and I was very altruistic. I wanted to make sure that I was doing something where I was helping people, and then life happened, right? Student loans happened. I got an offer at a large law firm coming out of law school, and the money was right.
And the bills got to get paid.
Bills had to get paid, and it was in corporate law. It had nothing to do with environmental law. I started a family very shortly thereafter, and I was off to the races. And not knowing how God was already ordering the steps, because I started doing business law. Understanding the structures of business partnerships and how to put contracts together, not understanding that these were the building blocks for me along the way. And so when I got the opportunity to go into clean energy technology again, it was through me representing a solar distribution company. I was the legal counsel for it, but it just kind of ignited a spark of interest. Like, oh, I remember this. I remember, how impactful this could be for communities. And one thing led to another. I ended up co-founding a solar integration firm back in 2007, and I was still practicing. I served as general counsel for that company, but it was the bug that hit me, and I'm like, oh, this is it. I'm passionate again about it, and I'm excited about it again. And from there, Dunamis Clean Energy was started in 2012. Now, when I started Dunamis Clean Energy, I was still practicing on the side, because as entrepreneurs, we have to do what we have to do. It's not, I hear so often people, especially in our younger generations, you got to boss up, you got to get your bag, you got to be a boss.
Be your most authentic self.
Yes, true to yourself.
Right.
Don't let anybody pull you away from what you have to do. You're going to be making millions by the time you're 24.
But your light bills due, so.
Your light bill is due.
Right.
That gas bill has to be paid. And so you got to hustle hard.
Right.
And harder, and the hardest. And at that time, I was hustling hard. And so I had family members, I had friends that were like, what are you doing? You are a lawyer. You could, you came from like a 6-figure salary, and what are you doing? And I'm struggling, like, no, I have to do this. That's when I gave myself permission. I will never forget, I was in my bedroom, and I'm like stressed, and oh my God, this project that I wanted, I had been working on for months, it fell through, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta, pay these bills, and I gotta da-da-da-da-da.
And my ego, and what would people think?
Right. And I remember getting a call from my mom, and she's like, Natalie, why don't you just go back to the firm? You're stressing yourself. Is it really worth it? And in that moment, I thought about it, and I said, I can't do that. I'm never going to do that. I said, I can't do anything but this. And that's when I knew, like, it was just in my spirit. This is my purpose. This is my calling. And no matter what, I'm going to keep persevering, and I'm going to pursue what God has told me to do. And it's going to be what it's going to be. And that's when I gave myself permission and surrendered to whatever it was that Spirit was telling me to do. And trusting in that.
I appreciate that for so many reasons. the first is like the lessons, especially for the Just Start audience that comes here, of course, to get the nuggets and the wisdom. But some of the key things that I pull out that just really hit me in the field, in the feels. One is the opportunity that you all have, and our small live audience that's listening today has, and we have the opportunity to continue to do, is to take stock of and remember the skills, the certifications, the experiences, the things that we already have in our toolkit, and use those things to help us do the things that we want to do in the future.
Absolutely.
I mean, because for some people, they work at a job and they become great at project management or great at whatever, and then they want to start this business or this side hustle, and you're like, oh, those other skills that I had, like I'll just, I don't need that anymore. Or let me burn this bridge at this job. When in fact, that could end up being your client if you work it right. And so I appreciate your journey of utilizing all those skills from a legal standpoint, truly what we call sampling yourself in the Scarlet and in the Just Start world, to elevate like what you've built overall. Like I really appreciate that, because most of us have this immense or these immense sets of skills and experiences, and we're discounting like the things that we've done over time, or we've just forgotten, quite frankly. And so I really appreciate that, number one. And number two, the grit that's required, right? I think it's so fascinating when you really think about what consistency and like putting your head down and keep going, like what that does for you. And I heard your story, like, hey, mom was asking what's up. Friends are probably asking what's up. But you know what? Like I have a plan. I have a vision. This is where I'm headed. This is really what I want to do. I think about, and I laugh about this all the time with my colleague Tynesha. We release, of course, this podcast every single week, and we send out an email to our list every Friday, the leader list. And sometimes when it goes out, I'll think to myself, and I'll ask her, like, you think anybody's reading this? You think anybody's really like watching this? And then someone out of nowhere will say, yeah, I listened to this podcast this week, or I read this email. But it's because of consistency, like your ability to, when you don't think anybody's listening or watching, like do it because you said you were going to do it, because you have the vision that maybe other people don't have yet. And so I really wanted to pull those two things out, because I think that those things will be hugely beneficial to people that are watching and looking to get inspired and hoping to take some nuggets and actually take action overall.
Absolutely. And I always tell young entrepreneurs or those that want to become that are entrepreneurial and that want to, either start something new or expand on an idea, don't despise humble beginnings. That is true. And no matter where you are, no matter where your lot is in life at the time, always approach it in gratitude, because you never know how you're going to be able to pull back into, as you stated, that skill set or that bag or that relationship or that network to advance where you are. Everything that happens in your life is purposeful. The good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, it can be used towards your building as long as you put it in perspective. Anything that has happened in my life, I've learned to ask, if it doesn't feel so good or if it's challenging, all right, now where's my growing edge in that? What am I going to learn from that? How am I going to grow from that? Versus the, oh God, this happened again. Oh, I just can't catch a break. What am I to learn from this so that I get to that next level? 1,000%.
I know from watching the space that you're in, the energy space, which of course falls underneath the technology realm overall, I know that there is lots of movement in the space. There are new people entering into the space, right? And it makes me wonder about two things. Number one, our opportunity in this moment for you to introduce our audience to Dunamis Clean Energy, right? And let us know a little bit more about what the company is and where you're headed. But secondly, I am curious, since it is rapidly growing, how are you, as the leader of this organization, how are you staying nimble, creative, and inspired in this truly rapidly growing space? But first, tell us a little bit about Dunamis.
Sure. So again, Dunamis Clean Energy Partners, I started in 2012, and it's an energy efficiency service solutions company. So essentially, we consult with large commercial and industrial customers. DTE is our largest customer. and we assist their clients and our clients with lowering their carbon footprint using energy efficiency solutions. So energy management, renewable energy, energy efficiency solutions like for lighting, HVAC systems. And we teach our clients how to modify their operations within their respective fields so that their carbon footprint is reduced. Their environmental stewards after we finish consulting with them, and then also the benefit of that is lowering their operating costs. So you get the biggest bang for your buck by incorporating energy efficiency measures. When I first started the company, I really wanted to focus specifically on energy efficiency, but as the industry began to expand for me and for my client base, I saw that there were other opportunities, related to manufacturing. And so I began to manufacture LED lighting in 2015. So that's how I got on the product side in addition to the service solution side. Now that was very serendipitous because for me, lighting manufacturing was something I thought was really beyond my purview. You know, as a young Black woman, I had never thought of the concept of manufacturing a product. I thought that that was too big. Quite frankly, I thought that it was something that was for other people to do.
Yeah.
And I got jilted in a contract. I was ordering all of this product from a company, and I just have to thank them to this day because the product didn't show up, and I had these contracts on the line, and my husband said, do it yourself. And you know, I'm so grateful for that company that jilted me because I realized that I had left the success or the failure of my company in someone else's hands completely. And when my husband said to me, just do it yourself, it was a real Oprah aha moment. Like, it was 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm like crying, like, what am I gonna do? I have this big contract, I'm gonna lose the contract. And when he said that, I literally, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, I sat up and, no pun intended, a light bulb went off in my head and I'm like, okay, that's exactly what I'm going to do. A week later, literally, I was on a plane to China, to Guangzhou, and they were having the biggest lighting fair. You know, they have this annual lighting fair, the biggest one throughout the country. And I went to Guangzhou. I met all of these lighting manufacturers that were manufacturing for Home Depot, Lowe's, Creed, Lithonia, all of the major players. Spent 2 weeks over there, went and visited all of their factories in all of these different provinces, and came back with Dunamis lighting and started manufacturing, OEMing over throughout Asia, a lighting product. And that demystified that process for me, so I had an understanding, oh, I could do this. Now, so you fast forward to 2018, again, when we were talking about innovation, like how does that even happen? You have to let life happen sometimes. You know, sometimes brilliant ideas can come to you because you see the maneuvering of the markets, and you have the ability to be forward thinking and saying, okay, this is a need that needs to be met. I have the ability to meet it. Other times, it's more allowing and surrendering to what life brings to you and being open to it. Doing the work on yourself first, right? To build yourself, build your own confidence levels, build your own knowledge, build your own intellect in a space, and then allowing the universe to just bring opportunities to you. So 2018, I'm asleep on the couch after a church service. I come home from church, I wake up, and I'm like, I'm gonna manufacture electric vehicle charging stations. It happened just like that. And it was Spirit that said to me, you're going to do this here. It's not going to be the same model of what you've been doing over throughout Asia. You're going to do this here, and you're going to bring it to the city of Detroit, and you're going to help people. You're going to empower people. You're going to hire people. You're going to train people, and it's going to be a product that's built within the city of Detroit, bringing economic development, bringing this new technology to Black and brown communities, low-income communities, and it's going to be used all over this country and all over this world. And Dunamis Charge was born that day, May 2018. Now, I had no idea how I was going to do that because, again, I'm a lawyer, you know, but now I know enough to know that I can do it.
Yeah.
I didn't know how, but I knew that I was going to. And so from there, I got some of our engineers together, really my lead engineer. We met at a Coney Island. And I'm like, we're going to manufacture electric vehicle charging stations. He's like, okay, Nat, let's get going.
Let's go.
So, you know, it took some time. We're now in 2024.
Right.
So the point of that being, persevere. Things don't happen overnight. But what we decided to do was a fully vertically integrated model. We R&D'd it, we engineered it, designed it, prototyped it, built it from ground up, patented technology to our company. And so now we have Dunamis Charge. It's a manufacturing plant located on the east side of Detroit, right next to the old Packard plant. So where you see this, you know, massive historical automotive icon that's coming down now, being torn down now in the city, Dunamis Charge is up. And we are manufacturing electric vehicle charging stations out of our plant there. And it is absolutely being built by Black and brown Detroiters and those that would not otherwise have any type of exposure or knowledge with respect to electric vehicles. What is an electric vehicle? What is an electric vehicle charging station? And they are now a part of that industry. And so we're very, very excited to be the first Black woman in the world that's doing this. Definitely my prayer and hope is that we're not the last, and I know that there are others that are now coming in this industry. And I would like to think that, you know, our example of representation and showing what we can do is going to really inspire others that would otherwise say, oh no, that's, you know, that's maybe too difficult, or that's too technological, or that's not something that's within my reach, to be able to say, oh, well, she did it, then I can do it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are a few things there that I want to really double click on, right? One is, I couldn't help but think about how important it is for people to give themselves permission to get started, but also how so many of our questions get answered in the action.
Yes.
You know, you take a step, the universe shows you some stuff, right? You take a step, somebody sees what you're doing, they say, hey, I didn't know you were in this space. Have you thought about this? And so many times we are waiting on the perfect condition, right? The right amount of money, the right resources, whatever. And your story and so many other stories that are here are rooted in take a step, right? Because your questions get answered in the action. And then I also can't help, I literally wrote down 3 years. I wrote down 2012, I wrote down 2018, and I wrote down 2023, maybe 2022 for me. Because although you've been building this thing brick by brick for more than a decade, a lot of people didn't even know that it existed. Like, to be honest with you, what you were building didn't even come into my purview until a few years ago. And I sort of keep my ear to the street in terms of what people are building. And so bottom line, just start community. Just start and keep going. Like, keep building.
Keep going. The hardest thing in getting started is starting. Just start. If it's just one small thing, one small step, get started. You're never going to really be able to start with a, when I do this, then I can start. Or when this happens, or when I make this amount of money, then I will start. You have to start. And the momentum will follow you from there, because the universe is going to conspire to bring every resource. As long once you become intentional about it and you make the decision, this is what I'm going to do. All things will begin to take place to assist you in whatever that intention is that you create.
Absolutely. I love a lot of things about the Just Start platform and podcast. One of the things I do love about it is that we give the warm and fuzzies, and we also give the, ooh, that's icky, right? Because that's real.
Real talk.
So I have to ask you about mistakes. And I'm wondering, what is one of the biggest mistakes that you've made on your journey? Maybe even one that you still find yourself slipping back into every now and then. Take us on the mistake journey.
I would think that one of the mistakes that I have made on this journey is giving away my power. When I didn't think that I was knowledgeable enough about a subject, so I gave the responsibility wholly over to someone else that I thought was. And I took myself out of a process of that I should have really been intricately involved in, because I thought, well, I'm not going to understand it. I'm not going to know what they're talking about anyway. So that person said that they know how to do it, so I'm just, and it cost me. It cost me time, it cost me money, it cost a lot. It cost me opportunities. Know what you know, but more importantly, know what you don't know. And don't be afraid of that. You know, still stay involved. If something has been given to you as a vision, and you know that this is your purpose, your mission, your business, your baby, don't be afraid to delve into areas that you think are beyond yourself. And so when you become intimidated, it's very easy to give your power away to somebody else. And that was one of my largest, and I'm still kind of paying the dues on that. From that mistake.
It sounds like you maybe for a moment lost sight of the fact that you are the visionary and you are responsible for all facets of making the vision come to life. But I feel you, because I've had this scenario as well. But isn't it painful, because you almost feel like I invested this money in this person or this thing or this product,
and so didn't come through.
Okay, I paid for it and I invested in it, and it should, you know, all these things should fall into place, or this system should work, or this person should produce, and you just forget, like, but you are responsible for the vision.
You're responsible for every aspect of the vision. And that doesn't mean that you don't allow other people to help you, because teamwork really does make the dream work.
Absolutely.
Really. And I have a phenomenal team. But the issue is when, if you have a lack of involvement or oversight, or you're really not drilling down into the processes, creating systems and making sure that you're intricately involved in the creation of those systems to set yourself up and set your team up for success, then you really have to determine why you're not doing that. Is it a lack of understanding that that's what you have to do? Because it is. For any business, you have to set systems, policies, processes, and procedures in order for your business to run. You got to do the work for that. You can't just be like, all right, y'all, here's this money, here's the vision. I'm about to go to this island real quick, and then when I come back, you know, we're going to be...
That would be great, though. That would be incredible.
That would be awesome,
very incredible.
Right?
Yeah.
It would be wonderful. But
Sign me up. Sign me up.
That's not the way that it works.
Right.
Or is it a situation where you're intimidated by the thought of it because you don't know how to do it? And you might feel like you're a little bit over your head.
Yeah.
And so when the vision becomes so big that you think you're not big enough to walk into those shoes of the vision, then you give it to somebody else to do. And you're like, well, okay, I didn't pay for it, so y'all go do it.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
It's painful when it doesn't work. Yeah, very
doesn't
painful.
Work. It doesn't work. And so as entrepreneurs and getting started, understand, do the work in researching and studying what you don't know. I always say that. It's more important to know what you don't than what you do.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was a pretty expansive, but it was a pretty expansive lesson. And again, gratitude. I'm grateful for that lesson because now I have a clear understanding. Not only do I need to trust myself, because even as I was doing it, like even as I was disconnecting myself from the process, knowing that I should be connected, it was intuitively, like it was the intuition of, now you don't know what's going on here, but you know something is going on here and you need to pay attention. Trust yourself as visionaries, as entrepreneurs, when that feeling in your gut is saying, pay attention to this, watch this. This person may not know what they are telling you that they know. This person may not, you like that person, but they may not have the capacity or the capabilities that you're going to need. Act on that when you hear it and when you feel it intuitively. Act on it, even if you don't want to act on it. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions in your life. And that's the second lesson that I learned. Knowing when to let go of people, ideas, things that just aren't working. Sometimes it's difficult, you know, but you have to be ready and willing to make those decisions when you know that it's time for you to pivot, when you know that it's time for you to go in another direction with a different idea or with a different person maybe that's been on your team, but that person is not necessarily the best fit for where they are and what they're doing and where you're going. Yeah. Those have been hard lessons too, not letting go in time.
Yeah. You've teetered a bit on the subject of community in different ways, whether it is your colleagues at work and your team that you love so much, you know, the people that are around you. But I do wonder, as you're building this thing, as you're building this movement, quite frankly, how are you managing to stay connected? How are you managing to still build community and build support around you that helps you continue to stay level, right? And to grow and to sometimes pull you off the ledge, you know, all the things that happen when you're growing something big. How do you go about staying meaningfully connected and building your community?
Well, the wonderful thing about Dunamis is that community is the core value to our company. So it's very easy for me to be able to stay connected because our mission, our core mission, is to make sure that community is a part of what we're doing. We are extremely focused at the company of being employee-centric and making sure that whatever it is that we're doing, our employees are leaving better than when they came. They're growing. They're able to take what they've learned and take it back to their own communities, their own families. And so in all that we do, we don't consider ourselves successful unless there is a benefit to the community around us. Are you able to make a really great living and create a career from what we're doing at Dunamis? Are we able to take a product and put it and deploy it in communities, and with the good feeling of knowing that we're doing good while being good at what we do, the good feeling of knowing that with every Dunamis charger that's being deployed throughout underserved communities, underrepresented communities, that we're playing a part in sustainability. We're playing a part in a solution to climate change and clean air and clean water within those communities. And so for us, if we're not doing that, we're not meeting the mission of the company. And so it's a really holistic model for us that I'm proud of, that not only will the company be successful and profitable, but we'll be able to use the business model to enhance other people's lives, you know, for them to be able to take care of their families while also being a positive impact on the environment. So yeah, it has to be what our company is going to be about.
I want to venture into probably what's going to be a little bit more of a personal space for a second. I know a little bit about you, right? I know you're a mom. I know that you're a wife. I know that you are an identical twin sister.
I am.
Right? I know you are a Michigan graduate. All
Go
right.
Blue.
Okay. All right.
You know, I
know. I actually set you up for it because I live in a Go Blue household and I was trying to get some points.
Ain't no doubt.
Okay. All right,
Ain't no
let's be
doubt.
clear here.
Yep.
All right. It makes me wonder how you meaningfully show up in the pockets of your life that you care deeply about.
Yeah.
I'm very careful to not use the word balance because, you know, that's a thing or not a thing, all right? But for you, considering that you care a lot about people in your life, they care a lot about you, but you're also very much growing a very big company, right?
Yeah.
So how are you meaningfully showing up in the spaces in your life that you care about?
That's a very good question.
And you can say, I don't know. Some people say, I don't know.
It's challenging at
Sure,
times.
sure.
I will say that it's challenging because it is my intention to show up fully for my husband, for my children, for my grandchildren, for my ministries. Like, these are all things that are very, very important to me. But sometimes you can feel very fragmented in that because there's so much responsibility with respect to the business and my responsibility to my employees, my team members. So it can be a challenge. But I can tell you what I am intentional about doing in the future, because I haven't done that like I would like to. Sometimes I'm just spread too thin, and I am, quite frankly, just tired, girl. I'll be tired. I'm like, shoot, I gotta go lay down. I'm tired. And then, you know, but I am very intentional about ensuring that all of this work that we're doing as entrepreneurs, if we are not in good health, if we are not in peace of mind and body and spirit and showing up wholly for those that really mean the most to us, then what you doing it for?
What we doing this for,
Like,
right?
what are we doing? You know, I mentioned to you earlier that when I came in, like, I'm not feeling the best physically. And just in this last couple of weeks, I've been thinking, like, now what in the world am I running myself ragged for, and stressed and worried about this happening and funding and capital campaigns and this and that? And I don't even have enough energy to play with my grandsons. Or I don't even have enough energy to sit down and talk to my daughter about what's going on in her life and be present in the moment to show her guidance and direction and love. You know, I don't even have, you know, enough energy to go hang out on a date with my husband, and you know, and so that is definitely giving me a new thought with respect to how I'm approaching this. And as entrepreneurs, we have to have an understanding that the wealth that we're trying to acquire and building up these companies, it means nothing if we don't have the health, the vibrancy, the love, the laughter. It doesn't mean anything, you know, and so I am very, very committed. I'll say that. I'm gonna do better.
Okay.
I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better. Very committed to taking out the time, because quite frankly, nobody's going to miss you for an hour, Natalie, if you go do some yoga and meditation. You straight.
And you may come back even better.
Even better.
Jovial, happy. Spirit's a little bit different.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we just have to take the time to do that.
Yeah, I always say no health, no nothing else.
No, nothing
truly,
else.
like, everything rides on your ability to be here.
To show up.
To show up and alive.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I am very much looking forward to a year from now and 2 years from now, when I place a phone call or text you and say, hey, it's about time for us to have our conversation on the Just Start From Ideas to Action podcast.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking forward to seeing you continue to grow and expand and
Thank
scale
you, sis.
and impact lives.
Thank you.
But I would like to know today, like, what's on the horizon for you? Like, what's next for you at the company? What's next for you as a businesswoman, as a sister, as a mom, just as a human, as a Black woman? What's next?
Abundance is next. We've done a lot of work over the years, and I'm excited about the future and what that holds. Growth is next. Abundance is next. And all of the building blocks that have been created, it is now time to harvest that. And so what's next is expansion of our product models. We are producing our level 2 EV charging stations now. So we're going to be moving into our residential models. We're moving into our DC fast charger models, which is a really, really expansive business. And so we're looking at new buildings, new factories to build. I'm looking at expanding our manufacturing into other states throughout this country. I'm looking at expanding it internationally. I'm very excited about bringing EV infrastructure to the continent of Africa. And that's one of my goals over the next 5 years. So I want to create a model that has already been perfected here throughout the United States and take it to our people throughout the continent of Africa. I see us going into advanced technologies in this mobility industry over the next 5 years. I see us hiring a lot of people. I see us possibly going public. Sky's the limit. Yeah, but for me personally, I see me growing in gratitude. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And then passing that forward. You know, I see me passing that forward to others. Jackie, I think that one of the biggest things that we as African Americans particularly struggle with is making sure that we take the time to pull others up. And I'm going to do that because, you know, I really didn't have the benefit of that as a young entrepreneur. Somebody saying, okay, I did this now, and let me show you how to make it a bit easier. So that's what I see as well.
Yeah.
Making sure that there are others that that's coming behind me that say, hey, Natalie, how did you do this? And me saying, let me take you by the hand. Let me take you to lunch.
Yeah.
Let's go to dinner. And let me tell you how I did it. And let me introduce you to some people that can help you do the same thing or similar. So that's it. That's what I see next.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you, sister.
I'm proud of you.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to be in your circle.
Thank
and
you.
of course, hopefully, over here at the Just Start community, we're hoping that you'll join us for a future conversation as
I
well.
will. You got to come to the plant.
I
Yes,
know. I
absolutely.
know.
You got to see it. Thank
Awesome.
you, Jackie.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you.
Well, listen. You hopefully are smiling ear to ear like I am as we wrap up a dynamic conversation with Natalie King. I want to invite you to do just a few things though, because this, of course, is a video episode. I want to make sure that you stay connected with us. And so with that, why don't you go ahead and head over to youtube.com/@magicaljacks to, of course, watch this episode and future episodes, and make sure that you hit like and subscribe while you're there as well. Also want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this particular episode and every episode that we have this month, Focus on Technology, which is the Mortgage Bankers Association. I, of course, want to make sure and invite you to join us over on our audio listening opportunities. If you like to listen to podcasts as opposed to watch them, you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and also Google Play as well. Make sure that you like and subscribe there and just look for, of course, the podcast, Just Start From Ideas to Action. And last but certainly not least, this. I hope that wherever you're at in the world, that you're safe, you're healthy, and you're well. And I certainly hope that you're giving yourself permission to start the things that you truly want to do. Without permission, without having everything figured out, but most importantly, here with us in community at Just Start From Ideas to Action, because we're always committed to providing you with the tips, tools, and storytelling to truly start the things that you want to do. So listen, I'll see you again soon. You take care of yourself, and don't forget to just start. Ciao, ciao.